I'm David Otunga, the only Harvard-educated lawyer in the history of WWE and professional wrestling. Well, Andrade, who was released from WWE, is now in some hot water as he appeared on AEW, and WWE is pulling the 90-day non-compete. So they have sent a cease and desist letter to AEW saying that Andrade is still under that 90-day non-compete, and not to mention, they also have a clause in their contract that could prevent Andrade from performing at a rival promotion for up to 1 year, unpaid. Now, is this legally enforceable? We'll get into it. So I found my 2017 WWE contract, which will be a whole video in and of itself, if not multiple videos. But for today, we're just focusing on the non-compete clause. So in WWE's non-compete clause, it's called a covenant not to compete. And it states, during the term worldwide and in the United States for 1 year after the expiration or termination of this agreement for any reason whatsoever, talent shall not perform or provide any services for or on behalf of any professional wrestling organization or entity not owned or controlled by WWE or any affiliated or subsidiary company thereof, actively solicit any talent of WWE, including without limitation any wrestler, announcer, referee, or so-called legend, or any of its affiliates or subsidiaries, to leave the employment thereof or terminate any contractual relationship therewith, and induce or attempt to induce any customer, supplier, licensee, or other third party having a business relation with WWE or its affiliates, subsidiaries, to cease doing business with WWE or its affiliates or subsidiaries, yada, yada, yada. It goes on, but it basically says that 1 year after termination, there's a non-compete clause that's in effect. Now, why we've never heard of this or seen this enforced before the Andrade situation, I'm not sure, but it appears that this non-compete has been in these contracts at least back to 2017. Now, here's a section on independent contractors. So it says, talent represents and warrants to WWE that his relationship to WWE and its various parent, subsidiary, and affiliated corporations under this agreement shall be that of an independent contractor and not an employee of WWE for any purpose whatsoever. Talent shall have the sole control of the manner and means of performing his work, and WWE is interested only in the results talent obtains. That's a strange statement there. Talent does not have, nor shall he hold himself out as having any right, power, or authority to create any contract or obligation, either express or implied, on behalf or in the name binding upon WWE. The important part of this is that it says, so talent, they're making talent represent themselves as an independent contractor and not an employee. So that is very clear. But then the very next sentence, it says that talent shall have the sole control of the manner and means of performing his work. Now, wouldn't that mean that the talent could perform his work at another wrestling promotion that's not WWE? Because, I mean, that's what an independent contractor is, and that's written into WWE's contract. However, it is quite vague, and that's the problem with a lot of the clauses in this contract is there's so much to be left open to interpretation. And there's just a lot of vague clauses in here. Here's another issue I have with this line that talent shall have sole control of the manner and means of performing his work, and WWE is interested only in the results talent obtains. Now, that means talent will have sole control over their character and what they create as an independent contractor. We know that's not always the case when they leave WWE and try to go to another promotion, because they can't take necessarily things from their character that they created, because WWE owns that, which is in a different section in this contract. So the contract has a lot of contradictions, and this is one right here. The whole independent contractor part, it just doesn't seem legally enforceable to me. if I'm being honest. And so, of course, the jurisdiction, the venue here for this contract, if any legal issues arise, is Connecticut, which is very business friendly. So WWE is trying to lean things in their favor. It's not like this contract isn't already heavily weighing on their side. So now let's talk about termination. WWE shall have the right to immediately terminate this agreement at any time and for any reason or no reason whatsoever by sending talent written notice of termination, which termination shall be effective as of the date of such writing as provided for in different sections of the contract. Should WWE terminate this agreement, the only obligation of WWE to talent shall be that WWE shall pay to talent compensation for those services already performed, but not yet paid as of the termination date. Now that was Section A. Section B, in addition to its other legal and equitable remedies, including without limitation, injunctive relief, WWE shall have the right to immediately terminate this agreement at any time and without notice should talent fail to act with due regard to public morals and conventions, commit any act or do anything that is or shall be an offense involving moral turpitude under federal, state, or local laws, or which brings talent or WWE into public disrepute, contempt, scandal, or ridicule, or which insults or offends the community, do anything that injures or threatens to injure the success of any products or services of WWE, breach a material covenant, representation, and or warranty set forth in this agreement, or fail to perform services to the standard required by WWE to produce the programs as determined by WWE's approver in his sole and absolute discretion at the time of any such events or any time after WWE learns of any such events. Should WWE terminate this agreement pursuant to this section, WWE shall have no further payment obligations to talent. There's a lot here, but this is the morality clause. So basically, this is a general catch-all clause that says if you do anything that WWE doesn't like or that they could view as potentially making their company look bad, you could be terminated just like that without prior notice and for no cause, or this is the cause. But yeah, for no cause. And this is wide because it said anything that injures or threatens to injure the success of WWE. So it doesn't even have to actually make WWE look bad, but something that they deem could look bad, which again is very, very wide. So under this non-compete clause, technically a talent could sign a contract. WWE could turn around the next day and fire them for no cause and then say, hey, also, we're not going to pay you for 1 year and you can't wrestle anywhere else for 1 year. And this is in the contract. That would be enforceable, presuming that this contract is valid and everything in it. So now what happens in practice is traditionally talents will be terminated and WWE will give them a 90-day non-compete period in which they've still been compensated. So that's 90 days where these talents are still being paid. They just can't go to a rival company. And this is WWE just, in essence, being nice and not trying to enforce the full force that they've written in this contract with the 1 year unpaid non-compete. So the fact that WWE traditionally gives wrestlers a 90-day non-compete and they pay them during that time, that's not actually WWE being nice. That's WWE being smart because they're trying to keep these disputes out of court. They don't want talent to take them to court and challenge this because a judge would likely just rule this invalid on its face. The fact that you're preventing somebody from working to support themselves in their given field for an entire year and you're not compensating them. So that right there, we can go back to contract law 101. It has to be equal on both sides, or where you're giving up something in exchange for something else. But in this situation, that talent would be giving up their right to earn a living in exchange for nothing, because they wouldn't be compensated by WWE. But it's different when WWE pays them something, because now they have a little bit more leverage for the contract to be seen as somewhat reasonable, but the argument can still be made. However, when WWE is not compensating the talent, I don't know how they can enforce this. In this situation with Andrade, he has been given a 1-year non-compete that is not compensated. If he were to take this to court, I think a judge is very, very likely going to rule in his favor and just throw out that entire clause of the contract, because you can't prevent somebody from earning a living for an entire year. But then the better question is, why did WWE decide to enforce this now and on Andrade? This clause has been in their contracts for a long time. And I'm sure there's guys who've had, well, I know there's guys who've had way more heat with WWE than Andrade, but they never did this. So why, of all people, are they choosing to make an example out of Andrade right now? Like, is this worth it to WWE to go and battle Andrade in court about this when they're likely going to lose? I don't know, Jerry McDevitt. I don't know about this one. What other reason could there be for WWE to hold up Andrade like this? Like, this is unprecedented. This has never happened before. And a non-compete is really supposed to be based on preventing trade secrets from being spilled. I really don't think there's any trade secrets at this point that Andrade carries with him. So it's not that at all. And in professional wrestling, presumably, it would be to stop momentum, a momentum shift, for example. If Andrade were really hot in WWE and then he was going to AEW, right, like the next day, the next week, they don't want him to take all that momentum from WWE. But that doesn't seem to be the case here at all. All due respect to Andrade, but he wasn't lighting things on fire right before they kicked him out. What's their game plan? What could they be getting out of this? Which makes me think about strategy, because WWE, they have a very good business strategy and everything is done for a reason. I wonder what that reason is this time. Is it possibly they're trying to gain leverage on AEW or something? So hear me out. Now, this might be wild. It might not be. But what if WWE is doing this to Andrade to get to AEW, to try to put pressure on them, to then allow Edge to come back to WWE to battle John Cena one last time? What if that's it? Actually, that would be pretty dope. Because if it is, all right, look, we can let them slide with this contract nonsense for right now, just for that. But eventually, they're gonna have to clean up this contract situation. But if they get us Edge to come back and have one more match with John Cena, hey, I'm here for it. And Andrade just happens to be a pawn in this chess match. All right, so let me know what you think about my theory there in the comments. Am I right? Am I dead wrong? Is this fantasy booking? Or is there something to it? Let me know down below.